One of the amazing things I've learned is that when you assess the truth that sets you free from addiction, it's like, it is all, I mean, there's no such thing as a silver bullet, but it opens up everything else. I mean, Kim is someone who famously says it all the time, and I think it's in the True Freedom testimonial video. You know, once addiction wasn't a problem in my life anymore, because the True Freedom model had set me free from that, she was like, well, then I started using it on everything else in my life, and it works on that too. And that's because one of the mistakes that we've made in the last 100 years, one of the mistakes we've made from the 12 steps, and just to clarify, as I've said before, but to clarify, the 12 steps was a massive improvement on what preceded it. So it was a good thing. But that was 100 years ago. And there's been a lot of progression since then in biblical theology and in science. And a lot of it we now know not only isn't entirely accurate, but also can have some negative effects. And one of those is that we think of addiction as some subgroup of humanity. Like, oh yeah, people struggle with mental illness and bad mental health, and oh yeah, people have got some bad relationships, and oh yeah, there's trauma over there, and oh, but addiction, ooh, that's different to everything else. And you often find even in local church community, it's separated, and that's what, that is what AA groups do, is it separates, so you're different to everyone else. And you find, that's absolute rubbish. When you break free from addiction and you learn the truth, you realise how much it relates to all the other things and how much all the other things relate to it. Because ultimately, it's about people made in the image of God, some born again, some not, but people made in the image of God, corrupted by the law of sin and death, which manifests through various experiences in our lives and within ourselves, whose brains get hijacked, which trauma does, which anxiety does, which addiction does, and then gives us compulsive behaviours that we don't understand. That's not something special. No. And actually, these days, more than ever, the reality is, unless someone is consciously coming against an addiction, you can guarantee they're addicted to something. Because addiction is not a disease that some people are born with and some aren't. It's a corruption of the brain, and a part of the brain that is the same for all of us. We all have that part of the brain, and it gets corrupted exactly the same way. And there are lots of different variables and nuances of this can help, and if you've got that going on, it's not as bad, and all of this. But ultimately, the brain affected in this way equals addiction. And these days, there are people literally being paid phenomenal salaries to addict us and children to that ultra-processed food, that social media platform, that da-da-da-da-da-da. And so once that part of the brain is corrupted and damaged, it's corrupted and damaged, and none of us are actually addicted to alcohol or drugs or gambling. We're addicted to, we'll get into this more later, but we're addicted to short-circuited, damaged release of dopamine. But it's in the form of that or that or that. That's why people switch from one addiction to the other, because they're not actually addicted to that thing. They're addicted to the dopamine corruption, short-circuited release that thing gave. And those of you who haven't got that far into book 1 yet, you will find when you do part 1 that if you've got a human brain, then you are a candidate for true freedom. That's all it takes. If you are human, then you can have true freedom.